Good morning, people. What's up? I wanted to take a few minutes and just say, first, happy Monday. Hope you guys are having a great week. Let's hope they're off to a good start. A lot of our week is what we make of it. But then I wanted to jump right into something that I was thinking about this morning when there's a game that comes up that I haven't heard about. So for me, I saw a notification on the Hunger Games, the board game, and I was like, oh, cool. I really enjoy that IP, the movies, the books. I like the books consume me. I totally like when those books came out. I read all three. Like, I guess I didn't read them in whatever, but I read all three when they were available. So I wanted to take a few minutes and I wanted to dive into this together and just kind of show you the things that I look at when I am getting ready to consider backing a campaign. And so that's what we're going to do. And if you guys have questions, you can totally wait to the end because I'm probably going to run my mouth and go through some of this really quickly, and then we can do a little Q&A toward the end. I have a hard time scrolling back on Facebook Live. I hope they fix that someday. But anyway, so the first thing I do when I log in is I typically obviously check out the splash image. I look at kind of what they're looking to fund. I look how many back, this general information is right here. I usually check that out. I do look and see which of my friends that I'm following have backed it. So Joshua Greimer, way to go. Then I look at, next thing for me is I immediately go to the creator and I look at what other things they've created. And I look at what those things have done. And so in this case, I don't know anything about those first three games. And then I see that they did the Highlander game and Pacific Rim. Again, I look and see what they do, or what they have done. So typically I'll click on that and just some of their past campaigns and just give a quick look to see what did it look like, what did the pledges look like, what did the campaign look like overall. And then I usually scan the comments really quickly just to see if they're keeping up with the comments, if the comments are over, I don't put too much into the comments, mainly because it can really be dominated by some negative Nancy's. So I don't get too crazy on that, but I do just see if is there a riot in the comment section, because I think that's important to keep up with and know. So from there, I watch the video next. Obviously, I'm not going to make you guys watch this minute 15 video with me, but typically, I just want to see, is the video of good quality? Did it engage me? Right now, they're already 10 seconds in and I'm bored. Now I'm 15 seconds in. Finally, we get to something that matters. If you're a creator, don't put these weird, no one. I guess maybe they did the little whistle from the movies, so that makes sense. But you got to get right into it. Anyway, I'll probably go back and watch that later, and then I start scrolling. So then I'm okay, what do I get? So if they have an early bird, so it looks like we do have an early bird here. What does that consist of? Am I going to get something new out of this? So there's only 250 of these. The Mockingjay Pledge will get you a standard game box along with all the stretch goals, yada yada. All of that even cheaper than the standard pledge. Man, I hate when people use the word cheaper. Oh, what a bad word to use. Anyway, okay, more affordable is what you want to put there, not cheaper. You don't want to degrade your product. It looks like we've got some cool minis, and looks like they got the movie license right, so we're using the actual characters' images and likeness. So that's cool. Ooh, dice, lots of dice. Okay, so next, I think it's very important that every campaign explains the gameplay, and so right off the bat we've got looks like some really nice videos here for how to play. So I'm just going to hit one of these for a second. How to play strategy, how to play movement and combat, how to play the turn. This is nice. So they've got some segments breaking out gameplay. That's cool. That's it though. It looks like that's it. They don't have doesn't look like a standard So I think it's pretty important to have a little of both, right? It's fine for you to have, say, like a video that explains gameplay, but also I think you need something that people can kind of read through. And I guess there is some text here, but there's no visual examples of how to play. So even if you just do like a 30,000 foot overview, I think you need some of that there. Not that it's necessarily a red flag. Now, if you don't have any, if a campaign doesn't have any gameplay or very little, that to me is a red flag. So this isn't a lot, but I will go back and peruse this a good bit later. And then we jump straight into stretch goals. They have a really low funding goal for a mini game. I don't want to say that's a red flag. Maybe they're just wanting to get their. Everybody has a different strategy, so I don't try to like look down on anybody's strategy. But this is a really low funding goal, so you know that it's going to take way more than £13,000 to make a miniature game. So they've already unveiled that they're going to get the first 3 characters out there. They want to get us some PETA and some Haymitch and some Hawthorne, which is cool. Then we've got miniature 3D sculpts. They're going to show those puppies off. That's nothing wrong with that. Looks cool. And then we get into shipping. So, wow, that is a huge range. 10 to 30 for USA. That, I'm guessing we will calculate shipping charges once the Kickstarter is over. So we're getting a post-campaign shipping setup. That is a really big, huge gap for the US. 10 to 30. Whereas Canada's 7 to 12. UK's just $6. That seems, I don't want to say that's a red flag, but it just seems odd that the UK is 6 and the US is 10 to 30. And that looks like that's it for the whole campaign page. Wow, that is not a lot. That doesn't really show us much. Wow. Okay. I expected. I really didn't actually look at the page much before I jumped onto this because I wanted to kind of be a real candid me walk through this with you guys. I expected there to be a lot more. Let's look at the pledges real quick. So we've got an early bird, we've got a standard, and we've got a double pack. So it looks like they're keeping that really straightforward. Let's see. Let's go over to the comments. There's only been 10 because it's just launched this morning. Wished I would not have missed Highlander. However, I want any more River Horse games. So somebody who has got some River Horse games is obviously a happy fan. That's good to see. Look, someone else. TJ said, seems like a really large shipping window for the U.S. compared to all other locations. River Horse has said, we understand that's a bit daunting. We will most likely be using a U.S. distribution hub for the U.S. distro, which means that mainland U.S. should experience the prices closer to $10. Unfortunately, that further flung regions of the continent, Alaska and Hawaii, for example, are more likely to get in the higher postages. Your country is very big. That is very true, but as a creator, I'm not sure that I would put that big of a gap on there just because of Alaska and Hawaii. You can break those out, but back in 13, plus not to mention Alaska and Hawaii doesn't have a very large board game presence. So now you're turning away a very large majority with that big window based off a very tiny minority. Backer number 2, any news about translation? So comments, don't have a lot of those going yet. Right now for me, I'm going to hit remind me or follow. I guess we have a follow project now, so I'm going to follow it. And because for me, there's not enough on the page to really show. Like, they're not getting an instant back from me. Like, it's not some campaigns, I see it, it looks phenomenal, you can tell they've done a great job with a lot that they're doing, and I'm like, yes, in. But right now, this one, like, I don't see enough gameplay stuff. I don't see, I feel like I'm just being sold strictly off the IP, which I think it's a very cool IP, but I don't think it's one that I'm instantly going to back. So I need to see more about the game. I need to see some more. Why did it jump to oops-a-daisy? I'm getting I need more coffee. So let me jump into some of your questions and see what you guys think. Let me come back over here. You're a margin, Jason says. On a side note, can you do one of these on creating a Kickstarter campaign? Tristan, I could. It would be very long, but I could totally do that. What's up, birthday brother? What's up, Jason? Me and Jason had our birthdays yesterday, so that was fun. Daniel, you're not the boss of me. I can keep my width wherever. It's just because this monitor is really huge over here. It's my side monitor. Anything Super HD screens, lower screen res. That's right, Tristan. Cheap equals nasty, Martin. That is right. Miss Jackson, if you're nasty, cheap nasty. Are there any questions in here? Martin, please do go through our Title Blades Kickstarter page just like this. I'm also open to when we mess up, so like nothing wrong with that. Yeah, the paying for this IP came, but they may consider that a sunk cost. I know that when we look at IPs here at Skybound, that's been something that I have recently got a schooling on in the last 2 to 3 months since I've joined Skybound on how we work with IPs, and I think for the most part I would consider any of those upfront fees mostly a sunk cost for the company, but it definitely is a little red flag that it only has a $13,000 goal. Robinhood, yeah, 13,000 pounds. You're crazy. Ha ha ha. Jason wants the weight of Martin's ego. You guys aren't asking any questions. You guys are just having a fun Monday morning. Yeah, and Bebo brings up a fantastic point. There's no reviews. They didn't get the game reviewed at all. No one's played it. No one's checked it out. That is a big red flag. I need third-party verification. Just the fact that a company, this tells me a couple things, right, when you get it reviewed. And this is the process that we're going through right now for Title Blades. Like I shipped out Title Blade stuff last week for reviewers. We had to prep the rule book. We had to get all the components ready and ship those out. When you prep a review rule book, it means that you've built the game in a way that someone else who you're not standing there with like at a convention to explain the game can read your rules and learn how to play the game. It's one of the reasons why like Tom at Dice Tower doesn't really like doing Kickstarters, because typically rule books that are in this stage are really rough. They can be really, really rough. And that goes for ours too. We're going to probably change our rule book, I don't know, 50 times with revisions. I know on Sorcerer City is like we're on version, I want to say like version 17 right now. And it's just because you're constantly, trying to make things clearer, make them clearer. So it tells me that when you send the review copies out, that you've prepped the game where people can understand it, and it's being blind play tested. I mean, that's one of the things that's kind of cool about reviews, is if you don't do like a standardized blind play test, like John Gilmore does that with his. He organizes these enormous groups to blind play test his games, which is great. It's fantastic. It is a red flag. It is a bit of a red flag that they don't have some reviews on here, because it shows me there's a lot of steps that I would assume they haven't gone through. Hopefully we're going to get some of those. I don't see anything in the FAQ comments. Still nothing there yet. And right out of the gate, they've just launched and it's only got 100 backers. So that's, I think, going to be part of what you're going to see. People want to see those reviews. Let's see. Anybody else got any more questions? Do you feel this game needs miniatures? Jason, I have no idea, because I haven't really dove into the gameplay. And they didn't show me anything right out of the gate on the gameplay. I mean, I guess I need to go back and watch these 3 videos that they posted and try to parse out whether or not the miniatures are needed. Have no idea. Warren says, looks like they think it will sell just because of the franchise. Well, if that's the case, that's a big mistake. Mainly just because that's not what people are looking for nowadays on a Kickstarter. So you're gonna have to give, just like me. I explained it right from the beginning. I'm a fan of this franchise. I love the world. I love the books. I love the movies. And when you're asking what is, I didn't pay attention to how much. The early bird, hey, $55 isn't that bad. That's a moderately priced, even if it gets to 60. I wonder if there's going to be add-ons later. It looks pretty straightforward. I mean, we've only got, that's a big bucket of miniatures. So there's quite a few, 36, 36, 12. So we'll see. But $60 is a pretty good price for a miniatures game. Yuri says, sounds like they're trying to catch the popularity of the franchise. Beebs said, I love making my video for Sorcerer City though. Thanks, Beebs. People are gonna be surprised by that game. I feel like character standees would have been more appropriate with a 13K goal. it does seem odd that the goal's low with being a miniature game. Ryan Skinner says, I looked over their Highlander campaign just now, and it didn't look like they had any reviews on that one either. It might just not be part of their process for some reason. Well, Ryan, I can't tell people what to do, but I can just say that for anybody watching who might want to make a Kickstarter campaign, it's pretty important that you have reviews, right? At least some reviews. At least someone else has touched the game. Has Highlander the board game been delivered? You know what, Bill? That's a good question. Let's go see. We can check this. We can at least get an idea. So let's go over here to Highlander. Hello, Highlander. Let's go to updates. They have 44 of them. Their last update was the 26th. I bet it's probably just oh, look. Who is excited for Highlander the board game as we rapidly approaching fulfillment? So they haven't delivered yet, but we do have pictures of what looks like finished board games. We have today received the first copies of both the base game and Princess of the Universe expansion. They are looking great. So to answer your question, Beebs, no, it looks like they have not, because this was on the 26th. So that was just last week. So they have not delivered this game. How much did this one do? It did 37,000. So again, that's a really low performing amount for an IP. I would, yeah. All right, other questions? I'm not sure. I'll take a look. Reviews are very important to any type of product. Daniel says it has not per their last update, but nearing fulfillment. Yep. So we did that together. We did it. We did it, team. We might as well be detectives. So anyway, that was what I wanted to do this morning. I thought we could do that together. As I think I'd heard something about that there was going to be a Hunger Games miniatures game. I didn't know who was doing it. I didn't know anything about it. But I got in my email an update from someone else who backed it. So that's where I find out a lot about mine. So if you guys follow people, that's a great way to. It'll also pretty much every Monday and Tuesday fill up your inbox, especially if you follow me. Because that's just my life. I'm over 650 on that. So I'm nowhere near Jonathan Gilmour. So as long as I don't surpass JG, I am in good shape. But he has also been a big influence on me to say we should support this is the pond that we fish in, and it makes sense that we support other creators. So I enjoy supporting other creators. That's always been a part of our setup. So I just kind of wanted to go through it together. It just seemed like a good time to do that. Maybe we'll do this more if you guys like it. I think it's fun to look at what other people are doing, especially when somebody's doing something new and different. Like I really checked out Joey with Growl when he did a lot of different stuff. Maybe we need to get him on at some point and have a chat about how successful some of his very unique approaches were on that campaign. But yeah, anytime somebody's doing something new or different, I like to make sure I check it out. And that's one of the reasons I love following campaigns and supporting them, because if somebody's doing something cool and new, I want to know. I mean, if you're trailblazing, I want to copy you. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just kidding. Not necessarily copy, but I want to take inspiration from people who are doing a great job. Like I take a ton of inspiration from Gavin and Roxley, because his campaigns are gorgeous. They're so well communicated. They do such a great job. So yeah, that's it. So anyway, yes, Martin, thank you. You can pick apart Title Blades in 2 weeks. Coming to Kickstarter in 2 weeks. Super excited. All right, guys. I'm gonna see if there was any other comments. Wait, Ryan says yes, totally agree that the reviews are important. Wasn't defending the lack of them, just pointing out that they've succeeded without them, for better or worse. Ryan, I'd say they're barely succeeding. $37,000 for a miniature game. That's scary, because the molds and the costs. Yeah. So Beeb said, I don't think I would ever back a miniatures game if they hadn't delivered on their first miniatures game. I can see that, Bebo, for sure, because you just want to see the quality. There's a lot that can go wrong in a miniatures game, as I have learned. If you know about the blue pig apocalypse of Grim Forest, our blue pig, the ankles were a little too thin, and that's the one that broke the most, and we've replaced a lot of those. You can have little things that can go wrong in a miniatures game, or for any miniature. So yeah, that can be a thing. Yuri says he wants to make a game called Kickstarter Detectives. Jason Miller, I spent the weekend with JG doing playtesting. Great guy. He is one of the best humans on this planet. I love me some John Gilmour. Daniel says, I support creators who have gone to the trouble of saying hello in some form to the community. Obviously you don't have to do that. It's not required. But Daniel, you bring up a good point that, Kickstarter is one of those things where it feels better to support people who have poured into the community a little bit, even if it's just a little bit, right? Like they just pop in just a bit to say, hey, here's my thing. I am a board game lover like you guys. We like supporting people that we like, right? And we want to help. You get that personal connection. Obviously, I don't know anyone at River Horse. I've never seen anybody at River Horse at a convention. I don't know anything about them. So they're very off in the distance to me. So yes. Yuri says the Growl campaign was great. Also, we are waiting on your office tour video, Daniel says. I have a brick wall behind me. And then I have some other stuff. I can't show you. I have a working wall over here that has all of our projects on it. I can't show that wall, so I would have to do some. It's not very impressive. It's just an office. It just has some stuff in it. So, yeah. Yes, Yuri. Roxley is, for me, the standard. Gavin is unbelievable. He's such an awesome guy, and he's always been like, I'll ask him questions, and he's very Jamie Stagmeyer in the way that he always answers my question, which I find is daunting now that I get asked a lot of questions as well, which I love to answer. But some days, like when you're really, really busy and up against deadlines, it's really hard to answer questions and all the emails that we get. So even more props to the Jamies and the Gavins out there who are trailblazing and leading and pouring back into the community where they fish and they live. Fish? Where they live. How about where they live? Yeah. All right, cool. New comment. Brittany says, Joseph Chin did a great job with Fantastic Factories campaign when it came to community outreach. Yes, he did. Beebs did a great job of going to conventions, meeting people. I met him at PAX Unplugged last year. He was a pleasure to talk to and hang out with. His game looked great, and he's done a fantastic job of communications from start to finish. That's one of the things I struggle with personally, is the post-campaign communication. Mainly because personally, I don't hawk all of my hawk HAWK, hawk it like a bird. I don't laser focus. I don't have spreadsheets myself like I've seen other people have spreadsheets of their games and their Kickstarter processes they have out. So I have to do a better job, and it's one of the things that I'm setting up some templates and some boilerplates here and some procedures here at Skybound so that I do it. Like, I think everybody has strengths and weaknesses, and there's nothing wrong to talk about those. And I have a weakness in post-campaign communication, mainly because I just think the manufacturing process is kind of boring, and unless I have something really exciting to talk about, it's like, hey, we made some revisions. Hey, we changed the rule book to make it clearer. Hey, the molds are done. Like, that stuff's kind of boring. Now, once we start getting like the pieces back from the manufacturer and we can say, hey, we're close to fulfillment, that gets more exciting. But it's like that. There's a little bit of a lull between we finished, we're kind of refining our rule book and our pieces and our stuff and our files, and now, oh look, we have something physical to look at. So anyway, I'll work on getting better at that. But Joseph has done a fantastic job of that. Brittany said, he came to my local board game night at an apartment complex. It was so kind of him to come out and teach us the game. Yeah, and plus, I think Joseph is just one of those people who's really excited about their game, which, I mean, that's what Kickstarter's all about, right? Like, seeing a creator get stupidly stoked about their first one is, I don't know. I remember Barnyard Roundup in my first game and how, like, I danced online when we funded, and when the campaign ended, we counted it down. It's really hard to replace the excitement from that first campaign. It's a very unique thing, and I love watching that. Daniel feels attacked. Manufacturing is not boring. Yes, it is, Daniel. It's so boring compared to like comparatively and relatively speaking to some of the other things that we get to do in the campaign. It's boring to say, hey, we updated this icon on this file, or hey, we changed out the rule book for, we swapped some words around to make this more clear. And I understand that there are personalities who really enjoy every detail of that. The other problem is, like, we're working on other games. So that's where I am surrounding myself with good procedures and good people to help me make sure that we stay on task in communicating all throughout the process, not just the part that I get super excited about, which is the campaign and the making of the game. So I think that's a thing that you guys should think about if you're thinking about creating a game, is that if you have weaknesses, find people who don't have that weakness and plug them in and give them the reins and let them run with it. Surrounding yourself, like 100%, my success so far has been because I've surrounded myself with talented people. And then I let them do their thing, and I don't micromanage them. I give stuff to the Cuddingtons and to Tim Eisner and stuff all the time. I'm like, here's an idea. I want to see us run with it. Noah over at Game Trays, I let him run with it, and sometimes I have to pay him for things that we don't actually use because I let him kind of run with stuff. And you can't just say, well, we're not going to use it. I'm not going to pay you for the work that you put into that. No, you have to pay him for that because that's just the way the world works. And like, we've got some things that Noah tried for Title Blades that I thought were really cool, but overall they didn't work. There were some trays, and maybe I'll show those at some point later. But we didn't go forward with those because it didn't make sense financially, and it didn't make sense for like what we're trying to do in the game. But I will say that we do have Noah working on some awesome stuff for the deluxe edition of Title Blades that I think people are going to be stoked about. I don't know if anyone's ever done this before, so that part of it I am really, really excited about. So anyway, surround yourself with talented people, pay them, and then they will flock to you when you want to do more stuff, right? Like, when you treat people well, they enjoy working with you. Oh, new comments. I'll read those. Bebo, thank you. I will say, Barnyard Roundup, obviously, it was on the front end of my intro into this world. There's only about 800 or so copies of that, and I don't know if it's ever going to get a reprint. So if you guys are watching this, or you know someone who likes bluffing games, I would suggest you go to the Druid City Games website and order it, because once those are gone, they're probably not coming back unless something crazy happens. Daniel says he's terrible at this game, but excellent at Grim. How do you get people to review games as a new dev? Joseph, that's a good question. How do you get people to review games as a new developer? So do you mean as far as like, yes, introduce yourself like Daniel said, and like Bebo said, you just reach out to them. I think that's obviously the easiest way, right? Just reach out and show them. But this is going to couple back to some of the conversations that I've had before. You also need to make what you show them very professional. Like, if it looks like some boxes on a spreadsheet, people aren't going to be very excited to review it. So you need to make sure that your rules look good and that your sales sheet or your first image that you're sending over looks good, so that, I mean, generally people who are going to review games only get excited. They're going to put stuff that they get excited about to the front of the line. Like, that's just human nature. So do a good job of making your project look really good so that people get excited about taking a look at it. Daniel says, great advice. You're as good as those you surround yourself with. I agree. Daniel says, for being boring, you sure are talking a lot about component decisions. Shut up, Daniel. It's fun on the front end, not on the back. True facts. Eric Bitterman, you can tell when there's passion behind a project when the creator has joy about the game that's infectious and all you want to do is get behind it. I agree. Bebo says, I'm so bad at Grim Forest and so good at Barnyard Roundup. If you have kids, definitely order Barnyard Roundup, though. My daughter loves that game. So if no one's ever heard that story, quickly, here's the elevator pitch. I was tired of playing Candyland with Parker. He was 4, couldn't read, and I wanted a game that I could play with him that I didn't hate playing, right? So there's only so much depth you can get without having your game partners not being able to read. But that was the whole motivation behind creating Barnyard Roundup, right? Was, how do I create a game that it's fun and I don't mind playing, that he could play and get excited about. And to this day, Parker still lists Barnyard Roundup as one of his favorite games. It's probably because he played 8,000 versions of that as we developed it. So kind of drilled that into his brain. Eric says, and I've got one of those Barnyard Roundups. Glad to be a part of your beginning. Eric, thank you. It's cool. That's it. That's all I had. I'm glad I had a chance to answer some of you guys' questions. That's it. Happy Monday.
Crush it this week. See you guys later.